my channel, Miss K. My name is Kayla. On my channel, I want to talk about practical ways to be successful in a capitalist society while also learning about beauty and fashion. So for today's topic, I really just wanted to talk to the camera. I'm trying to get better at just forming thoughts as I speak. This video is coming from me journaling mainly. Let me find the prompt. So the prompt was list 10 things you are grateful for today. And so here's a little bit of what I wrote. I said, for this prompt, I want to share what I'm grateful for while also sharing how it's helped me grow. So that turned into this idea for the video. So for today, I'm going to tell you guys a couple of ways that I've matured in 2022. I am 24 years old. My birthday's in March, so I'll be turning 25 in 2023. So I'm at that awkward age where I'm a brand new adult. This is the first time in my life that I've been independent in the way that I am now. And so I have a lot more freedom to make decisions that I want that are solely because of my wants and needs. 24 is a good ways into your adulthood, but just because of culturally as a Black American, the parent-child relationship is just the natural imbalance of power. But all of that to say, here are a couple of ways that I've matured in 2022 and how it's made my life better. One, I've gained perspective. So I remember as a child being very angry. I was very angry that even though I was perfect, even though I did everything to be perfect in order to get what I wanted out of the relationships in my life, I still felt unwanted. And so that caused a deep sadness in me. And as I got older and I started to look at the adults in my life, I still call them, because these are the people I grew up around. And so when you think about as a child, the adults in your life are the people that you depend on. They are the people that you look to learn about life and to get what you need to survive and learn how to do so. So that sadness really turned into anger, and I was very angry. And now that I think about it, I was mainly angry because I felt like I wanted somebody to step in. I wanted somebody to protect me or to affirm what I had already known since I was very young of what was wrong with the situation that I had with me and my parents. And so with perspective and time and being a young Black woman, in my experience, it kind of puts the hardships of the realities of life into perspective. And so I have become a lot more forgiving and understanding and firm in my boundaries, because while I can sympathize and empathize with the struggles of having to make do in a world that will shortchange you simply because of how you look, or preconceived notions of what you're capable of, or those real realities that affect every aspect of life. And so it's very easy for people to feel that African Americans are very sensitive and we like to victimize ourselves. But when you really think about, if the way other people saw you based on something that you can't control, if it affects your livelihood, even if it's not as severe or outwardly or visibly damaging, it affects everything in your life. And so if you, and I'm not even going to go into that right now, that's another topic for another video. But with perspective, I feel that I've been much more understanding and forgiving, and with that, I can now determine not a hard line, because my perspective is always changing. I'm always learning more information, and I'm always having to decide what I feel is right and wrong, and I feel like that's fluid. But there are some things that I feel very strongly that I would do if I was in a certain situation, but I also don't know, because you don't know until you're in the moment. So it just allows me to see right or wrong in a different light, because I've now lived another experience. I'm starting to live another experience. For 2, I am a natural learner, and so I feel that I've matured a lot in coming to fall in love with learning again. I was very jaded and burnt out from my high school experience, and so I was working so hard for such a long time that when I finally stopped, it was a crippling sense of overwhelm and exhaustion that just hit me out of nowhere after I graduated college. So from the time that I was in the 9th grade until I graduated college in 2020, I was really in survival mode. And so I took on a lot, because I'm the type of person where I don't want to sit still too long. And well, I used to be this person, not anymore. I used to not be able to sit with my own thoughts, so I needed to stay busy. And so I feel that I've kind of lost the same motivation that I had when I was younger, because ever since I remember I was in maybe 4th grade, I fantasized about going to college and getting away from where I was and never coming back. So working hard, getting good grades, excelling, those things were supposed to be my safe haven. And so after transitioning into an employee, I have less time on my hands, but also more. Like, I have a more consistent schedule, but it's been difficult for me to incorporate other ventures that I want to work on into my schedule, because I feel like I have that hesitancy about overworking myself. But all of that to say, I am grateful to be a natural learner, because it gives me curiosity that allows me to notice patterns or take in information and use it in a different way. And so just having that natural ability, I feel like, has really given me an advantage in life. I have security and safety. Okay, yeah. I was just thinking about, like, what does safety and security have to do with maturing? And I think it also goes back into the perspective point, because I'm operating from a place where the actions of other people, or what I feel to be the shortcomings of other people, doesn't directly affect my life experience. So while I can empathize and or sympathize, it doesn't change much. So I feel that I've definitely calmed down because of it. And it's easier to forgive now. So finances, one of my big goals and it still is a big goal of mine, is to be financially secure. And so I have focused on really putting more effort into learning about finances. And what really helped me initially was my economics classes. So just learning about the banking system and how money operates has really inspired me to put more effort and thought into how I manage my finances. So I feel that that is a big way that I've matured this year, because especially coming from a situation where you are not used to having excess income, it's hard to hold on to it, and it's very easy to spend money. And especially with a lot of the imagery that we see online, it's very tempting to have, I don't know, to be very impulsive with your shopping behaviors, or spending money, especially with inflation and just the way everything is. It's very, very, very essential to have a good relationship with money. And so I can talk more in other videos. If you guys want to hear more about that, just let me know. But I've done a lot of work to set realistic goals for my money, and then actually have the discipline to say no to myself sometimes and commit to more important avenues to grow my money as well. So another way that I've matured is that I am now grateful to have a long journey ahead of me. And I think this was a big reason that I really struggled with burnout, because I always felt the need to work everything out or get everything done now. And so, it worked for me for a little while, but things take time. I really hope that that's something that you will start to focus on as well, because being in a rush and being in a hurry can really tax you. And it seems it can feel I think that I would mistake being busy and moving all the time for being productive. And so it's been a really big wake-up call to realize that, I have goals that I could have been closer to achieving or further into the process, but I just stopped. I just stopped because I was doing so many other things that you run out of energy. So basically what I'm trying to say is that as I build endurance for the long haul of what it really takes, like when you say you want to do something, what it actually takes to get there, and I am able to budget my energy and my time much better. Another way that I've matured is I've learned to reevaluate my relationships with unhealthy coping mechanisms. And so some of those things for me were spending money, or being busy, like always doing something, reorganizing or cleaning something, or running away from things, just ignoring it. But with the other ways that I've matured, mainly from gaining perspective and then having more security in my day-to-day life, it's made me realize that I can get much further and be much happier if I put my focus and my energy into the things that are going to get me where I need to go. And so there are some things that feel good in the moment, or it feels really hard to deny yourself but you'll benefit from it and it's worth it. And if it's not worth it, then it's no point thinking about it, because you've decided that that's not something you're going to do. But you can't kid yourself and believe that if I think about it, or I dream, or I manifest it hard enough, if you don't actually take steps towards achieving it, it will never happen. Like, nothing just falls into your lap. And so I did a lot of wishful thinking, but now if it doesn't directly move me toward the things that I'm doing, then I have to pause and I have to think about if having whatever thing, whatever person, or anything or any person, anything or any person, if it doesn't get me toward where I'm trying to go, then I don't have space for it. This was a good one. I hold myself accountable and take myself seriously. I feel like I really already kind of touched on why, but just get real with yourself. If this is what I want to do, then I'm gonna have to do it. Nobody's gonna do it for me. So that's just it. And even as something as simple as working out consistently, if you always have an excuse for why you don't feel like it or you don't want to, then you won't do it. If you are still eating unhealthy foods more often than you'd like, you have to start making those decisions to do better. I have learned to take better risk. I feel that this was like the most formidable experience of 22 for me, was quitting my first job. And I've ghosted, never mind, not even getting into that. But I've had to leave jobs before, but I never had to make the decision to leave a job, especially since the job that I left was my first ever full-time position. So it really was an emotional roller coaster, and I can tell that story. But it got to a point where it felt like disrespectful to myself to stay in that position, but I was comfortable, and so I probably stayed way longer than I should have. I can actually say that I definitely stayed in that situation longer than I should have, because I had good counsel around me who already let me know what was up. But sometimes we just have to go through the experience fully. But it ended up being really rewarding and it worked out in my favor. But it made me never want to feel unprepared, in the sense of sometimes it takes going the extra mile to think a couple of steps ahead, to make sure that you're never left in a situation where your back is against the wall. I cultivated the belief that I have so much to gain in this lifetime. Shifting your mindset from maybe this is just because of my personal experience, but when I was younger, I was very much cynical. And so as I was getting older, it kind of felt like, what's the point? Why should I can only expect bad things. And so this just goes back to what I said about perspective. If I believe that there's so much left for me, and not even just, and so this goes back to a couple of things, and I felt like all of these things were happening pretty, not simultaneously, but all within a short span, to where I kind of was like jolted into like a new self. I don't think the way that I used to think. And, you know, I go back and I'll see stuff that I wrote or that I recorded or something like that. And it's like, wow, I really am a different person. But, yeah, I had people in my life who actively discouraged me and actively criticized me, I believe, with the point of shattering my self-confidence. And so I became afraid to want more because, and this is also something that I've had to learn as I've had more safety and security, I have that feeling that doom is around the corner when things are quiet or when things are peaceful. It makes me very uncomfortable because I'm just expecting the storm to come. And so the storm hasn't. And so now I can shift my focus away from trying to avoid storms and actually going toward things that make me happy or things that I want to do. I can accept my reality. Ooh, didn't mean to screenshot that. So I feel like I can accept my reality and I'm comfortable living within my means. Yeah, I feel like these are all pretty consistent in the fact of I'm more independent, so I have to be responsible for myself. And, you know, I just understand that I have to learn certain things on my own that a parent or guardian or having certain type of guidance would have provided me. So I can't go back and I can't make other people do anything. Other people may not even have the ability or the space or the wherewithal to do so. And instead of being angry or preparing for the worst, I have to deal with the cards that I was dealt, and that's all. So those are a few of the ways that I have matured in 2022. I hope that this was affirming for a few of you. If at the very least, I hope that this gives you things to think about on how to work on yourself and your new journey for the new year as we prepare for 2023. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Well, miss, I guess I'll be on my way now.